Hey guys, how are you all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic, and welcome back to the channel. And I have Sting with me. If you guys know what Sting is, hopefully you do. Bilbo's sword, Frodo's sword from The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. That's because today I just came back from seeing Tolkien. Now this is actually the first Middle-earth style movie. I'm going to put this down before I kill someone. Middle-earth style movie that actually isn't directed by Peter Jackson and Weta and everyone else who is involved with those double trilogies. This is really the first time we're kind of exploring Tolkien's not so much of what he did, but how he kind of learned from his friends and how he treated them and how they treated him and how everything kind of worked toward what he did when he started writing those books. So right off the bat, again, I didn't look at any reviews. I did now. It's at a 50. First, I'm just gonna take this to a reviewer and just because it's just I hate it. You only have to trust yourself, and trust me, it's so good. If you're a Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit fan, you are going to friggin' love this movie. I did. I was kind of worried that it was going to be too heavy, fall too heavily on the oh, look, there's a tower, so that's Barad-dûr. Or, oh, hey, that's a thing, that's Sauron, or that's Saruman, or that's Legolas, or that's Gimli, or I don't know, Keely, Feely, whatever. But thankfully, it had a few moments, because, duh, that's what the movie's kind of about at its core. But essentially, it didn't fall too heavily on that, so it wasn't, cheesy or dumb. But before I get into my actual review, that's just my own thing I was worried about, and it blew me out of the water. Again, it did everything I wanted it to do. Kind of like Detective Pikachu and, a few other films. However, this movie really, for being not a, Peter Jackson directed movie, I think that not a lot of people are going to see it. And I know true fans like me and, other, like you guys, whoever's out there watching my videos, if you guys love Lord of the Rings and you love The Hobbit and the books and the Silmarillion and all that stuff, you are going to love this movie. But for those of you who have not seen the movies or don't really care, this movie, I can already tell you, it's not going to make a whole lot of money. I mean, if it is, great. I didn't check, to be honest. But if I could just, tell you now, I wouldn't say it's making a lot. Because, again, it's not an action-adventure movie in Middle-earth. It's about the guy who created Middle-earth. So if you're going into this movie thinking that it's going to be an action movie, now there are action scenes because Tolkien goes into war, but I think there's one punch. He punches someone, if that counts as an action scene for you. But it's not really, we're not seeing a continuation of Frodo and Sam or a continuation of Bilbo, Thor, and any of that stuff. This is purely how J.R.R. Tolkien, how he essentially created Middle-earth, created The Hobbit, created Lord of the Rings, created everything. And they do it brilliantly. It's a really well-made movie, and that's what I'm really excited to tell you guys, is that, yeah, it's not by Peter Jackson. Yeah, it doesn't have $1 billion as a budget, but it works. It's a beautiful movie. I almost cried. I didn't, but it gets to you. If you're a true fan, you'll get what I'm saying when you watch the movie. But yeah, I mean, everything really was kind of against it going in, because if you've seen Lord of the Rings and you've seen The Hobbit, they're brilliant movies. Say what you want about The Hobbit, they changed some of it from the book, but I love both of them. The double trilogies, they're freaking amazing. So going into this, I was like, ooh, you got some pretty high boots to fill, And no, Tolkien is not as fun as Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, duh. Because this movie is about his life, so you're not going to have action scenes of, Frodo and all that. But from what you do have, it's awesome. I mean, it tells the story of how Tolkien and his buddies, really 3 of his other buddies, how they kind of, met in school and how they became a fellowship and they're friends, and then the war happens and stuff happens, and I can't tell you because of spoilers, but the plot revolves generally around, Tolkien's, life as a kid all the way to an adult and then to a professor, and, as he is now in Oxford, right, or not now, he's dead, but, when he was alive in Oxford and, writing all this stuff. So it really does a great job of telling, what happens, how he decides to make the books, and what influences him to make them. As far as acting goes, I think the acting was really good. I mean, this movie has Nicholas Hoult as J.R.R. Tolkien, who, if you know, as he was in Jack the Beanstalk. He was in some war movie in 2017, and he was, of course, Beast in X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, X-Men Apocalypse, and now the Dark Phoenix movie coming out next month, so it's kind of funny. He's in this one and the one next month. But this was by far his best performance. He's really good as Beast. I think he's a little better than the X-Men original trilogy, even though half of that doesn't count, because of the X-Men timeline. But it's I think that Nicholas Hoult is a great beast. But as far as his acting ability goes, he was really freaking good as Tolkien. He nailed it. It was awesome. Lily Collins, who is his love interest, and it was everything works. Every single character works. They do what they have to do, and it's not the best acting in the world, but it's certainly not bad. In fact, it's amazingly good for being a movie that you wouldn't think would have good acting in it, because it's not really, Tolkien really wasn't advertised on TVs or, it was just like a two little baby trailers and that's it, So I think the advertising for this movie was shot, but other than that, going into it, you're like, oh, the acting's gonna be crap because it's not, big name people. But Tolkien's buddies really did a great job, and so did his love interest, his girlfriend. It was all really, really good. They did a great job of acting in this movie. It was really, really good. And as far as CGI, of course, this movie doesn't have a whole lot of CGI because, again, it's about Tolkien's life, and he's not out there fighting Smaug and spiders and all that in Mirkwood. But going into this movie, I'm like, oh, the CGI is gonna be crap because it's about his life. Whatever CGI is gonna be in there is gonna be terrible. And there are instances where he's in the war, and you see Tolkien looks out into the bloody sunrise, I guess, and you see in the smoke and the fog Smaug, right, the dragon, breathing fire, but then it turns out that's a flamethrower. Or you have a tower, which is Barad-dûr, which is actually just a tower, So, and then you have other kind of correlations, but when they do have these scenes of the people with swords and the dragons and everything, it's kind of cool because when you saw the dragon, that is Smaug, but it doesn't look 100% like Smaug in the Hobbit trilogy. It's a little bit different, which I liked because, again, not a lot of people realize this. They know it, but they don't really realize it, that Peter Jackson's movies, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, that's his adaptation of what Tolkien wrote. Tolkien, he didn't write Smaug to look just like that in the movie, or just like that in this Tolkien film, So it's really cool that we can get these different directors and different people to kind of, analyze and critique and kind of, use what they were given in the books, and that's really cool. So I really did like the CGI. It wasn't perfect, but from when they had it, it was amazing, and it works really, really well. So again, acting's great, plot's great. Again, it's very general plot. It's really about his life, but it's not boring. When you hear biopic, biography, movie about Tolkien's life, it's not a snooze fest. There are some slow scenes, and that's not because of the pacing, right? The pacing's not crap. The pacing's really well. It's just that the movie has to give you enough backstory and enough leverage to when something does happen to a character, or when something happens to Tolkien, you care. You don't go, oh, okay, he wrote Lord of the Rings, he wrote The Hobbit, he wrote The Silmarillion, he wrote some other stuff. Who gives a crap? You know what I mean? But this movie makes you care. It makes you, care about what's happening to the characters and everything. So that was really cool. So again, plot is great, CGI is great, acting great. Again, I feel kind of strange saying it's another A+ movie, but from what I've been seeing in the movies, guys, I'm being honest with you guys, I really enjoyed it. It blew me out of the water. Again, I didn't think that this movie would be as good as Lord of the Rings or Hobbit, which it isn't. Again, that's kind of a given. However, when you're watching it and you realize it's about his life and how he created, these fictional elements and these characters and the language of Elvish and all that, it's friggin' phenomenal. It's a really good movie, great CGI, great everything. Again, yeah, I'm gonna have to say Tolkien is an A+. I really enjoyed it. And again, if you are a fan of Lord of the Rings and a fan of The Hobbit, you need to see Tolkien. Don't let it bore you. It's not boring at all. It's really interesting. Sure, it's a slow movie. There's not action scenes with swords and arrows and all that. Again, there are a few action scenes in the war. I wouldn't really call them an action scene. I just call them like a war depiction. But it was really, really well put together for not being something, again, that we've come to know from Peter Jackson and all that. It was a really good adaptation that, we really didn't see coming. Again, because the trailers were such garbage, and they weren't really depicting anything. You were just like, oh, what's going to happen? But finally they did it, and it works, and it's awesome. So yeah, if you're a fan of Middle-earth, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, and you're a fan of Tolkien, please see this movie. It's well worth your time. And again, A+. It's fantastic. I can't wait to get it on Blu-ray and unbox it and give someone the digital code. But yeah, it was amazing. Hopefully I can see it again. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't really know how long it was. I think it was like 2 hours, not 4. I do love it when Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit are long, especially like Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War. I like long films, but I don't like them when they're bad. and this film wasn't bad at all. So if they added another hour to his life in this film, I would have been fine with that. But from what they did, I think it's around 2 hours or something like that. They hit everything that they wanted to hit, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Again, A+. You guys need to see it, especially if you're fans of the Middle-earth franchise. So thank you guys. Make sure to comment down below what you thought about Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit. What's your favorite? Do you like Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, or The Hobbit better? And on that note, guys, I do have to say, Xbox, we need LEGO Lord of the Rings on backwards compatibility. I don't care if Amazon owns the rights. You need to freaking do it. Because we have LEGO The Hobbit. I'm going to go play that today probably because it's awesome. But yeah, again, guys, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, awesome. I hear that Amazon's making some kind of TV show. I don't know. Let's see how that goes. But, yeah, so thank you guys. And again, make sure to leave a comment in the comments below what you like better, Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit. And, yeah, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon. Again, guys, A+, I love this film. Make sure you see it, especially if you're fans. And we'll see you guys in the next video.